Hello and welcome to the Thresher Football Show. I'm Dan Page alongside interim head football coach of Bethel College, Dalen Markham, as the Threshers are 4-0 on the season after a 20-17 victory over the Avila Eagles. 4 games into non-division action and 2 remaining before a bye week and getting into the Kessinger Division play for the Threshers as they win at 20-17. It was a wet game, a weather delay game, but it wasn't exactly pretty, but you guys got it done.
Yeah, it was a very ugly game. It was kind of rainy, wet, kind of cold out there. But, man, the guys persevered. The first quarter was a little rough. Kind of short and warm up a little bit, so I think that played a factor. But, man, second half we came out and battled, and we just came out on top.
Yeah, it was another scoreless first quarter for the Threshers in back-to-back games. They did so against Ottawa as well. Avila kicks a 32-yard field goal on the south end zone to go up 3-0. And then I believe they went up 10-0 on you guys out of the gate as they found a Curtis rushing touchdown and to go up 10-0. And then the Threshers respond in the second quarter with 3 touchdown passes in the entire game for the Threshers, and each building upon anticipation in the passing game. No rushing touchdowns this week for the Threshers, despite quite a bit of rushing yardage. We'll tell you more about that later, but they score 2 touchdowns in the second quarter to make it a 13-10 game, and then each team scores in the second half. Eli Williams scores on a rushing touchdown, and then the Threshers score on a big touchdown pass. And we'll tell you all about that in a little bit here. But, weather kind of influenced the game a little bit, just kind of getting out into the open, and took some time for you guys to get adjusted to that.
Yeah.
But, it was still a pretty good defensive game on you guys. Learning something from every game, it seems like.
Yep, I always got to get better, keep getting better every week. This week kind of harped on quarterback running the game because we have a running quarterback as well, so got to get better containing him on our rush lanes and stuff. So hopefully be better this Saturday.
Yeah, Eli Williams definitely gave you a good scout for any time you play a rushing quarterback. I thought about this throughout the week, and, man, they had to go to extremes of even singling out Tate Siebold to block him.
Yeah, he was making plays.
But despite that, he ends up with 10 tackles, a sack, and a really big interception at the end of the game to be the KCAC Defensive Player of the Week. And you could argue he should have been the National Player of the Week on the defensive side of the football. But 2 really other big plays I thought for you guys came from Colton McCarty. Had a big sack to the end of the first half to take it to halftime, and he just really amped up his game. And that's one of the things I think that shows a successful player is when they can be so invested in the game that they're so excited about it. It's something for a teaching moment for some of the other guys on the team. You can, when you make a big play, you better be amped up about it. React to it. Just don't be just droning about it.
Yeah, so. For real. We tell them, man, let's party on the field, have some fun, celebrate each other's big plays, because why not have fun with each other on the field? Playing a game, gotta have fun with it.
Yeah, you definitely do. I know you also had a drop pick. I said it on the broadcast. I was thinking, okay, there's push-ups for somebody.
Yeah, for real. He still owes me push-ups for those. Him and Robin and Rod owe me push-ups for that still. So I'll get those tomorrow. Don't worry.
Yeah, but nonetheless, Thresher defense still doing great on the season. I'll tell you a little bit more about that later here in the program. But you guys do, 3 touchdown passes. The last touchdown of the game was so huge. I don't even know. I know it was a pass play drawn up, but the adjustments made by DJ and Josiah Buller really set that play up, and it just kind of caught everybody by surprise as, DJ, gets a snap. He sees all sort of pressure. You think he's going to get swallowed whole. He somehow gets out of it.
Yeah.
And, Josiah Buller does a great job of, he ran his route route, but he didn't just stand there.
Yeah.
He found the open space and was helping his quarterback out. And, I mean, it was like everybody else was watching him when he caught that ball.
Yeah, I was shocked. I'm in my head like, DJ, just run, DJ, run, DJ, run. And then all of a sudden, he just throws it. And I'll see Josiah come out of nowhere and just take it to the house. So 60 yards, I believe it was, something like crazy like that. So, man, just shout out Josiah and DJ. They've been working every week, getting better and better. But fun thing about that play is, man, half the coaching staff think he was throwing the ball to Larry. Because Larry was coming back towards him on a hitch route. He's coming back towards him. So everybody think that he threw it to Larry instead of Joe. He didn't even see Josiah.
Oh, really?
That's the joke. That's a joke. But
well, you guys have the end zone angle, so you know.
Yeah, it did look like he was throwing to Larry because Larry was like this, and I see Josiah just come by out of nowhere and just take it. So it was like,
okay,
I'll take that. I'll take that any other week. So.
Oh yeah, so back-to-back weeks, Josiah Buller a big touchdown reception against Ottawa and against Avila, and he's just proven that you guys probably have more outside receiver depth now than you have in a few years.
Yeah.
I mean, between he and Dante and Kai, we got to see more Kai in this game, and adding Larry back into the mix.
Mm-hmm.
Those are three of those guys you've only had for 1 or 2 games.
Yeah, Brady too. Brady was
he got a catch
a yard away from taking it at 70 yards on post. So man, he was just so close, making so many big plays in that game. It should have been. I feel like we could have blown him out a little bit more. But just, man, we got to start making those plays. Once we start making those plays, I feel like we'll be on good, getting better.
Yeah, always something to improve upon, and I know a lot of people are going to try to test your guys' offensive line, everything up front, but Toriano Richardson still has a great game for you guys running the football. He definitely was a huge bright spot for the Threshers in the victory as he rushes for 122 yards on 24 carries, and he is now still second in the country in rushing yards. I think he's 500 and something. He's 1 yard ahead of Elias Pino at Friends. But two different types of running backs, though. I mean, you got a slot like A-back versus a guy that he can be a lot of different things. Toriano can. He can be a bruiser. He can also hit the jets. Yeah.
So he got some speed on him. But he's more. I feel like last game we kind of saw that bruiser mentality of him. He was just running over people left and right. So that's kind of the first. I was like, dang, a couple of times. It was like you just hear the contact he's creating in the hole. So, man, we love that from Toriano.
Yeah, another great game for him. DJ ends up with 42 rushing yards. I mean, I just feel like this year he's not going to have a lot of huge stats for you guys. He's just going to be, one word I use to describe this year's team with everybody that I've spoken with is is the word selfless, because, I mean, the stats won't tell you anything about this team. What it'll tell you about them is, they want everybody to succeed.
Yeah. That was one of our themes for the fall was selflessness. I mean, that just seeing that come to fruition each and every week. It's big time for the program.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, it's contagious, that's for sure. But the Threshers get the victory. Mentioned defensively Tate, but Colton McCarty ends up with 6 tackles. Robin Neely 6. Kevin Hill, big game for you guys. Ernest Ferrier 5 tackles in the game as well. Just a really big game for you guys, stepping up defensively. And the Threshers, here's the tidbit about the Thresher defense. You guys are, I think, second in your division in overall defense, but 5 of the 6 teams in your Kessinger division are in the top 24 in the country.
Yeah.
In defense.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And I'm like, it's just loaded with good defensive play. It's going to be just an absolute battle, like bloodbath coming to the second half of the season, going after things. But it's like whoever's offense can survive, I guess.
Yeah, for real. So, man, that's what defense wins championships, the old saying. But, man, we got to be able to put some points up, too. So, our coach Den and coach their staff, the offensive staff, man, they've been working effortlessly, tirelessly, driving new plays, get the guys right. So, I'm excited for this weekend for sure.
Yeah, and it seems like you guys are still learning a little bit about your team to some degree with some of the guys that have only been here, less than a year and things like that. Guys like Torrey Curry. I mean, he comes in and, fills in on sometimes when Toriano has a big run. But unfortunately, the ball got given to him this last game, and he ran right into his own offensive line, and just the force alone caused a fumble on it. And, I mean, that's always frustrating, but you're trying to learn how can you use guys the best to benefit the team.
Yeah, it's really a lot of new guys still over there trying to learn the offense. We got Corey Catcher and people like that, like juniors, and that haven't really played a lot their first 2 years here. making big plays on offense. So they're just kind of getting used to incorporating everybody on offense. So it's gonna be a challenge, but I think we're getting better and better at it each week.
Yeah, I had another member of the media asked me a question about the defense. I said, "Oh, there's so many guys interchanging, like you'll have trouble keeping track a lot of the time." I mean, I only do because I have a relationship with a lot of these guys, and I've seen their growth and development. But it's so awesome to see, guys rotating in and making plays, and it's not like they're getting subbed. The main starting 11 is getting subbed off because they're doing a poor job or anything. It's like you always talk about having fresh bodies is so beneficial. Guys are going to get banged up. You're 4 games into the year. I'm sure you are a little bit, but
yeah, we are.
It's you've got to give everybody opportunities.
Yeah, we got to. Only way to get better if nobody can play is give them game reps. So man, they've been taking full advantage of it, and just excited to see how they keep going and getting better.
Certainly, and I mentioned that again just to tie that thought up. I mean, you don't know who for the Threshers is going to be the name that steps up, offense or defensive side of the football. I mean, you talk about 3 different receivers catching for a touchdown in the game against Avila, and a couple different against Ottawa, and you weren't exactly expecting a lot of that to some degree. So if you're the opponent coming into the game. But
who knew we'd be air raid offense now?
Hey, I mean, you just adapt to the game situation, if anything. But it's. And I also had to give DJ a lot of compliment over the last couple off seasons. You've seen just how much he's improved as a passer.
Yeah.
Particularly, I want to point back to touchdown against Ottawa where he found Josiah Buller. I mean, you just saw when he led his receiver how he should. Everything looked great.
Yeah.
I had a great angle at it and everything. And, he just, has gotten better and better every year.
Yeah, he's getting better and better. He's relying on his arm a little bit too much for me, but I'm just kidding. I'm just seeing him running around, having a field day running on rushing. But man, if he can throw it, let him throw it. He's been doing a good job connecting with everybody. So I'm just excited to see how he's not relying on his legs as much now. He kind of can throw it around a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he certainly could still make those plays, if anything. But you got to think about some things when you're in a situation like it's a split second move, where it's like, okay, I have to make a quick decision to either throw it or run it, and sometimes when you throw it, it's not always going to be successful. And when you run it, you may not reach the marker that you want to get to either. So there's so much to consider and manage from that position, and he does certainly the best he can in that role. So the Threshers get the 20-17 victory over the Avila Eagles. Any final thoughts from that game to tie things together?
Man, no, I really kind of did a good job of it, man. Just seeing everybody come together and play for each other, man. I love seeing that each and every week. So just kind of keep getting better each week, learning from our mistakes from the previous week and getting better.
Yeah, it seemed like a party there on the sideline there towards the end of the game. It got pretty wild. It seemed.
It was a fun game to win. So definitely fun.
Yeah, 20-17 the victory for the Threshers. Avila definitely an underrated team. Definitely has a big ceiling. We'll see how they go the rest of the season. I know that's kind of a struggling start there now for them. 3 straight losses after their opening season win at home. And we'll follow them from afar the rest of the way. Let's look at the rest of the conference scores. Bethany earlier in the day beating Sterling 35-14. So Bethany right now is 6th in the Kessinger division at 2-2, which would get them probably tied for first in the Bissell division at this point. It's really
first in the division, I think.
Yeah, I mean, because I know there's a lot of teams still with just 1 win on that side, but not to nitpick or anything. But yeah, it's again just some things have really sorted themselves out about how they divided the divisions originally. But we'll leave it at that, if anything. But McPherson gets the victory 31-14 over Ottawa. They win at home. It was a big weekend for the Kessinger division because all the teams that actually played won against the Bissell division. Now, Evangel and St. Mary got postponed. We don't know when that will be made up. I can't imagine it will be after the current schedule because there isn't a bye week in there. I mean, maybe there is. They go play.
There's a bye week.
No, I mean in the middle of the season. At the end of the season, there's no room between postseason and the regular season, but maybe they'll play on the bye week.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't heard anything, so I don't know.
But in a game or in a season where it could come down to every single win mattering in your guys' division, you definitely want to play that game
for real.
More than anything. And it's kind of like the few years back when Bethel really, Bethel played Tabor in the 2020 season that was extended into the spring. Really needed to play that game to guarantee at least a share of the conference championship at the time. So. Yeah. These little games have big implications to them. We'll save the biggest game for last, but Southwestern winning in Winfield 42-0 over Tabor. They're just, they have just been spectacular. I don't know that they've really played in a close game yet. I mean, it's 40-21 against Avila is probably the closest it's been. It was 44-14 over Kansas Wesleyan that they won.
They've been looking scary this year. So
if they stay healthy, that's the biggest thing. That they've had to battle injuries the last few seasons that have really held them back for reaching their potential. So who knows what's in store for the Mound Builders. The Threshers don't play them until division play, but they win 42-0 against Tabor, who the Threshers will play for the Fall Fest home football game the first Saturday in October. But the final game of the night was Friends and Kansas Wesleyan, and the Falcons ended up winning 28-26. It was their first victory over K-Dub in 10 years. That I watched the end of that after our game had ended, and Kansas Wesleyan punted the ball down to all the way at the 1-yard line, and Friends was able to move down the field, take advantage of a couple penalties, and kick a 40-yard field goal to win 28-26. And
crazy game right there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. Watched a little bit of it, man. It was a battle for sure.
And they even lost 4 fumbles in the game and still won 28-26. So
that's crazy.
It's been interesting the last couple seasons because your team has been following up with their opponents every week. So we go to Kansas Wesleyan this week. They just played them, so you get to see a little bit on film, and you kind of know a little bit about what the offense used to be here and what worked in that game. You can kind of analyze that to some degree, but nonetheless, a 28-26 victory for Friends over Kansas Wesleyan. And now Kansas Wesleyan 3 losses in their start, 1-3 on the year. It's just a rough start because, I mean, the Kessinger division is so loaded, and you're playing, so many schools back to back to back. I mean, they played Evangel, then they played Bethany, and then, they play
Southwestern
and Friends, and now Bethel, and then they get McPherson at the last bit of it. So it's definitely kind of a gauntlet to run through that the Threshers will certainly find out later this season. But that wraps up the week's play. Again, to kind of paint the picture for the Kessinger division, you have 4 of the 6 teams 4-0, including Bethel, Friends, Evangel, and Southwestern, and then you have the 3-1 McPherson Bulldogs and the 2-2 Bethany Swedes. So really good start for Bethany, by the way, compared to where they were a year ago. So they've definitely improved here into 2024. But this week, we'll kind of set the tone for the conference slate, and then we'll get into the Threshers' opponent, Kansas Wesleyan. St. Mary playing host to Bethany. They got a few different afternoon kicks. That game in Leavenworth, as the Swedes go up and take on the Spiders, always unique names in the KCAC and NAIA football. Avila hosting McPherson. Should be an interesting one to watch from afar. We'll see how Avila responds at home against the Bulldogs, and a game that I would consider winnable for them. I mean, it's nothing against McPherson. It's just they just showed how well they can compete.
Yeah.
But Ottawa taking on Evangel. That'll be a huge challenge for the Braves at home against the Valor. Tabor at home against Friends. We'll see what Tabor can do against Friends. They typically have struggled against the Flexbone in recent years, so we'll see how they respond to that. And then the final game, Bethel Threshers at Kansas Wesleyan against the Coyotes, the team that the Threshers have only beaten once in the last 15 meetings.
That's crazy.
And it was the 2022 season, the last time the Threshers played in Salina and got the victory. It was a crazy weekend from what I remember, and we went on a Saturday and tried to play a little bit. Weather came in and made a factor. We had some flooding in one of the locker rooms.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It was way too hot. Yeah, most of the guys were outside on the track there in Salina, just trying to stay cool and things like that. But you come back the next day on a Sunday night and finish that game and get the victory, and it was a lot of drama in that game. I felt like.
Yeah, it was definitely. It was another fun game, another battle. So I expect nothing less this year. So. Yeah,
and then you go back to last year's game, playing against Kansas Wesleyan. You guys had a great start. You had a big touchdown pass to start things out. Unfortunately, coming into that game, DJ was going. He was sick.
Yeah, he was sick.
Still sick going at it. Tried to play. Played about a half, I feel like, and then in the third quarter, it caught up with him more than anything. And that was a really big struggling situation because you guys were doing. You scored on special teams on a punt return for touchdown as well, but losing 24-14 at home in a game that you guys had every opportunity to still win.
Yeah, it was crazy. We was on like our fourth string quarterback too, so it was just, to be that close with our fourth string it was frustrating at that time. But man, we definitely learned from last year and hopefully take that into consideration this year. Yeah,
definitely. Wanting to respond a little bit better because it's still one of those losses that shouldn't have happened last year. I think that's the biggest thing. If you're a player coming back from last season to this season, you want to turn that around as much as possible, obviously, because Kansas Wesleyan Tabor games did not go the way the Threshers wanted in 2023. But Kansas Wesleyan, always a tough opponent. I used to say that they're a new team every semester because of the guys that come in and come out of the program, and that's not a dig on them. I mean, they're taking full advantage of opportunities.
Yeah, they do a good job of recruiting. They do a good job. So
yeah, I mean, it's all part of the game. They get their guys and they get a lot of talent. They're typically known for being a very physical team.
Yeah.
So what have you seen from them this year?
They're very physical. They got big goal line, big D line. They also have some big linebackers. So it should be the battle of the trenches is going to be tough this year. So hopefully we do our job and we come out on top of that. So I feel like whoever wins that battle, we're probably going to win the game.
Yeah, I mean, another thing, if you guys take care of the football in this game, you really have a better chance against them. And playing up in Salina is definitely a difficult. Going on the road and going up in there and playing, and there's so many things that come into it. But it'll definitely be a challenge for you guys. They always have weapons at Kansas Wesleyan. Doesn't matter what position.
Yeah, they have a good quarterback. He's kind of like DJ's a little bit. He scrambles a lot. He likes to throw it a little bit more than DJ. I feel like DJ likes to scramble to run, I say, but he likes to scramble and kind of throw it downfield a little bit. So, challenge for the DBs to have good eyes even when the quarterback's scrambling. They have good receivers on inside, outside, a good tight end as well. So they have he's one like a receiving tight end type-ish, and then they have two like 6'2", 6'3", 250 like Carson Allen type tight end. So they have some big bodies everywhere. So it's got to have a great game all around.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a challenge for you guys, but it's definitely kind of a moment where you just kind of put away the physical side of it and make it a mental game as much as possible.
Yep.
Even if you may be perceived to have a size disadvantage by any means. But one of the things I know, at least on offense, that Kansas Wesleyan has had in the past, and you mentioned that this year's quarterback and his mobility to throw the football, is really spreading things out, spreading the Threshers out and testing, okay, is your fifth best DB good enough to go against our fifth best receiver?
Yeah. And
they usually have a really deep receiving room.
Yeah. I feel like last year they did that too. They came in the game, they really run the ball that much, really passed it a lot. But then I don't know something about our defense they like to throw again. So hopefully we come up to a challenge a little bit better this year and make some plays that we didn't make last year.
Yeah, and going back to the win a couple years ago, you guys were able to a couple different turnovers. I think there was a fumble recovery from the defensive line, and also a couple different turnovers where the receiver caught it, got it popped out of his hands, and Grant Godsey had a nice return, and then Brendan Sanders had an interception return for touchdown in that game 2 years ago. So, I mean, that's kind of the formula to try to beat these guys is you got to score and you got to get the ball back on defense.
Yeah, so we had chances last week to make some plays on defense. We just couldn't come up with it. So hopefully this week, I've been harping on them a little bit, making fun of them here and there. Hopefully they make the plays this week. That's all I can hope they make the plays this week.
Yeah, I mean, it's all you can do is give their best effort and go out there and just try to win the game. That's all that matters is the result. When it comes to it at the end of the day. But it's the Threshers and the Kansas Wesleyan Coyotes. It's 6 o'clock kick from Salina. You can watch it on the KCAC network. Tyler Henry, the voice of the Coyotes, does a great job. He's on the radio and on the stream as well. Good friend of mine at least in the media and things like that. But Kansas Wesleyan and Bethel taking it out on the turf for this week's football game. I guess defensively we could go into a little bit of what they did. You talked about their size and physicality a little bit, but there's got to be a little bit more to them, isn't there? Yeah,
they're deep. Their safeties are pretty good. Their corners are good. They just really they do their job. They know what they're doing. They were probably more of a simple defense. Avila like they blitzed a lot last week, but they're more of like a play base and just make you drive the field on them. They don't make mistakes that often. They do their job. They just plug up holes and make the ball bounce to the outside a little bit. So hopefully we can create some gaps in there with Cody Baxter and Carson Allen and all those type of guys, create an extra gap for Toriano and the running backs to kind of get bust through the hole and make some big plays for us.
Yeah, from what you've seen, when they do get into the backfield against teams, which way are they going with that? I mean, how often is that?
It's pretty often. I think they do a good job of just disguising their coverages and blitzes. So I think they don't blitz as much as us, but they do it. When they do it, it's a good result for them. They get a TFL or a sack or something.
Yeah, you definitely point back to the Avila game a little bit. You saw, I think it was like a number 7 or something. You could always tell when he was coming in to blitz.
Yep, you can always.
And I mean, it was kind of obvious, so to speak. But sometimes it gave you guys some challenges, nonetheless, when you saw it coming at the same time.
Yeah.
But it's always something that you have to adjust to week in and week out. I think what is the biggest thing? You talked about using your tight ends well, but the offensive line, what are some of the fundamental things maybe Coach Wright is telling them against this kind of opponent?
They just got to make their checks. I know I went over there a little bit for like a 5-minute period just to kind of just see what they do, because I've never been with the offensive line side of the ball, tons of things. I was surprised how many checks and how much they communicate before the ball is even snapped. So just gotta everybody be on the same page, make the correct checks, and listen to DJ and the calls he's making too, and just kind of be on the same page. So it's that was news to me because I know they talked. I thought they just blocked left and blocked right. They got a corn dog means something. I don't know. They're saying weird names and stuff. I was like, what is this? What is going on? But they just got to communicate, be on the same page.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely seems like, they realize the importance of this season compared to last season. And, I know Coach Wright probably brings those principles in, from his playing experience and just the things that, maybe defenses don't pick up on that the offensive line does or says at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, Coach Wright, he gets on them boys hard, man. So it's kind of a nice little change because the past couple of years they really didn't get yelled at like that, not from the offensive side of the ball. But even Coach Denton, he goes over there and yells at them every once in a while. All I hear sometimes during like tempo period is just Coach Chaz yelling at them on the sideline, like what to do better, what they did wrong, how to get better and stuff like that. So he's been on them, so it's been paying out good for us this first 4 games.
Yeah, you definitely feel like, it's not necessarily a scolding moment. And, you see the rapport with him and the offensive line on the player side of things. And they all want to get better, and they know what he's saying will make them better. And there's been a lot of little things that I've noticed that have really been beneficial. I mean, whether it's offensive line, Toriano gets stood up, they come over and they just start pulling him ahead an extra 2 yards.
I was one of the things I'll say yelling, like he's just telling him what to do. And to tell him how to get better, but he not really yelling at him, cussing him out and stuff. Like he's yelling at him, just coaching him hard. That's what I mean by yelling. But that's one of the things I harp on, like push the pile. Don't sit there and watch. go push the pile and get extra 2-3 yards. Go push it forward. Don't let him push. Don't let him Toriano fall backwards. That's one he thinks he harps on.
Yeah, and I mean, that's so important. Those little things are going to add up big for your team, and he's been such a great addition to the coaching staff, and a really good guy. I talked to him a few different times, just going on away games and everything, and it's really cool to see what he's doing. And I give him a lot of compliments. I could give every coach a lot of compliments, honestly. Yeah. I mean, but I feel like that kind of really stands out for this game specifically, because Kansas Wesleyan is definitely going to test the guys up front considerably. Special teams for them, anything to be really concerned about, or what? I'm sure they have a good kicker, good punter. So
the running back number 11, he took 2 kickoff returns back for touchdowns this season. So we'll see what he did. Hopefully we don't let that happen to us. So he's pretty good. The returner, they have a good punt returner as well. And they also have a good kicker and punter. So just a return game. Got to limit them to not let them get big return off. So make them drive the field. Don't give them extra yards.
And you've had some good guys, guys that are taking advantage of being on kickoff to go down and make plays. I think Lyric definitely jumps out to me.
Yeah, Lyric.
That's one of those guys. He's always in on the tackles. But, there's a lot of other guys that are just, maybe not getting in on offense or defense, but going down. And, ball position is so important. And special teams is every little thing matters.
Yeah, Lyric's been doing a good job on that. Caleb Roper, James Goff. We got Levi on there. Kevin Hill is on there. We got I can name a lot. We got like 20 people on kickoff. Plug and play whenever we get tired. So last week, a freshman Mason Fletcher came in, made a couple tackles. So and just kind of doing their job, make them tackle. So just hopefully got to do that this week.
Yeah, I mean it's so important in things like that, and having a little speed on your kickoff team has definitely been proven to be beneficial for the Threshers flying down and making plays, and try to get inside the 20 as much as possible on the returns. I feel like Avila was living a lot on the 35, almost to the 40 sometimes in this last game, which was kind of different than what we've seen so far out of the kickoff group. But definitely getting that challenge in the game against Avila will definitely make them better going forward against Kansas Wesleyan. Well, again, the slate for the conference this week: St. Mary hosting Bethany, Avila hosting McPherson, Sterling is hosting Southwestern, Ottawa at home against Evangel, Tabor at home against Friends, and Bethel on the road at Kansas Wesleyan. Just 2 more games left in division play, and then you guys get that much-needed bye week before you get to it. But, has there been a moment for your team, whether you're talking to them or the guys talking to each other, just saying, okay, we've got through this far. This is when the big boys start coming up, the big games on your schedule. And I know that some of the philosophy has been here, you just focus on one opponent at a time and things like that, or a faceless opponent or anything like that. But there is sort of a significance from here on out.
Yeah, I haven't really heard much about that. I just try to week by week, game by game, because we're trying to be 1-0 each week. So just not really focus on what's ahead of us. We'll focus on the now. So Kansas Wesleyan's up next, so we got to beat them this weekend. So not really, the bigger and bigger games coming up in the October or whatever, but we just focus week to week.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not discrediting that philosophy whatsoever. It just, it just kind of jumps out at you, and that there's some situations where you guys have been just survivors through somewhat of the first 4 games, and that it's not always going to go your way. You have to respond, make something good happen out of those, bad moments. And I feel like you've done so far, but, you can't let it add up, of course.
Yeah, no, we got to. That's why we kind of call it preseason-ish kind of play, but, man, we're just learning from each game, learning from our mistakes, trying to get better each week, kind of harp on the things we're bad at right now on both sides of the ball, special teams as well. So just got to fine-tune those things when the division play does start so we can keep it rolling.
And again, we'll just paint that schedule the rest of the way for the Threshers one more time. They have this weekend at Kansas Wesleyan, and then come home and play against Tabor for the Fall Fest football game. Fall Fest is phenomenal. Even if it's just not the football game, everything that's involved with it is great. I mean, if you don't even like football, just go, because there's something for everybody. There's fine arts, there's great food, there's great music as well. Taste of Newton on the Thursday night, the 3rd, is going to be spectacular. I went last year for the first time, and I'm like, I've been just a fool for not going.
You've been missing out.
Yeah, it's some good eats out there as well. So head on out downtown Newton for Taste of Newton and all that. That starts out things with Fall Fest, and then Fall Fest Saturday is such a cool tradition, something for everybody, even the little kids, to anybody.
The bounce houses, the merry-go-rounds, and all that stuff in the front.
Oh yeah. You gotta love that stuff. It's fun. Paint a pumpkin. We've done that. Me and my daughter have in the past. The food is you never know what you're gonna maybe try for the first time. Always awesome.
The
Varenica. You get some borscht and things like that, and the Bethel Barbecue Club also has some great food as well.
Yes, sir.
And then come by the Booster Club tent for Bethel College Athletics and support the student athletes and the coaches for Bethel Athletics. Really this is an opportunity to just, so much fellowship and engagement, whether you're alum or not. There's so many, reunions and things like that, and for guys like us that didn't go to school here or anything, it's so cool to be so engaged into this, even when you didn't even go here.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how the old players come back. They all talking about coming back for Fall Fest, because it's a big thing. Come back and see all your boys you play with. So I'm excited to see how those guys come back.
And then after that, the Threshers get a bye week, and then they go on the road to McPherson. And then stop me if I'm painting this wrong, but I believe it's at Southwestern. No, home against Southwestern. Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
And then at Friends, home against Bethany, and home against Evangel to end the season.
Yeah, that sounds right.
So plenty of home football left for the Threshers. Come on out to Thresher Stadium. You better come out for Fall Fest, because the weather is going to get colder and colder as it is. But nonetheless, that's kind of the rest of the way for the Thresher football season. So make it a plan. Even if you can only make it to one game, even if it's an away game, come out and support Thresher football. It's all about the student athletes. Some of them far away from home. It is a very big time in their lives where they make big decisions on a daily basis. So come out and support them. And there's a great group of people that are engaged in the Bethel community that host, students and student athletes as well. So a big shout out to all of them out there this week for our broadcast. Well, Coach, any final thoughts before we go into this week's game against the Coyotes?
I want to say next Saturday, also Fall Fest weekend, is Volleyball has one of their 8 home games.
That's right. That's right.
Come out. They can play. I think they believe it at 12. I think
something like that. Yeah.
Come out, support them at home. I know they're doing good this year. Just want to give them a shout out. They've been traveling every other weekend to play.
Oh, yeah.
Just come out and support. I think they'll have like 8 home games this season, so come out and show out for those. Yeah, they played a home triangular back in August, like the first week people were on campus. Yeah. And it was, feels like a year ago at this point. But they're 12-5 on the year. They've won 3 straight. Still, 2-0 at home. 70% of their non-con games going in win column. They played some really tough teams in non-conference. This week, they have Bethany on the road, and when this airs on Saturday, they're at Friends in the afternoon. But home on October 2nd, Wednesday, October 2nd against York. That'll be huge. And then home against Southwestern on Fall Fest Saturday. So come on and support the Threshers, volleyball and football, and everybody, It goes way beyond this, because this community is a lot smaller than you think, as far as the community of student athletes, students, and faculty, staff, and athletic personnel, everybody engaged. I mean, this is a big opportunity to work, together to help these students and really support them in a big time in their life that they'll never get back. I mean, honestly, it flies by so fast in college. So come on out, support the Threshers any way you can. If you want more information on any Bethel athletic team, go to BethelThreshers.com.
Also, failed to mention on the Fall Fest Saturday, they also have a 5K run and a mile run as well to support the Bethel Flag football team. So if you want some more information on that, you can go to BethelThreshers.com and get a hold of Coach Teeter, and she can point you in the right direction, get registered and ready to run. I mean, I'm ready to run, but I don't know if I'm going to do it that day or not because I just got back into running and my knees are hurting again. I had to take a month off with shin splints, and here I am. But anyways, outside rhetoric aside, we thank you again for watching this week. Again, we do this for the fans and the parents and everyone involved, and the former Thresher football players as well. So for Coach Dalen Markham this week, I'm Dan Page, telling you every week and every W and every loss and every scenario, roll on.